that's what Plymouth Argyle is all about. We thrive on that. That's what we've got in our favour. We've got that in abundance. We've got that in the terraces. We've got that in the boardroom. We've got that everywhere in the football club spirit and belief. And the players have got that in abundance. So as long as we all show that passion and that spirit, we'll be fine.
Last Friday, Argyle took a huge step towards their Sky Bet Championship survival in one of the great nights under the lights at Home Park. There are just 3 matches remaining, and depending on how results go this weekend, the job could well be completed today. Standing in their way, however, are a Stoke City side also under pressure, an historical jinx, and a certain former manager. This one is not to be missed. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our pre-match build-up show here on Argyle TV. My name is Alex Wood, and the Bet365 Stadium is our setting for today's survival shootout. Both sides teetering at the wrong end of the championship table, but knowing a win could well secure safety with a couple of matches to spare. Really big afternoon then, of course, for both teams. Points and time are running out, and if the history books are to be believed, one more win should be enough. If Argyle were to get that today, it would move them to 51 points, and only twice in the past 20 years has that not been enough to ensure survival. But of course, they have to win, and it won't be easy. Away to Stoke, a place the Pilgrims haven't won, as my neighbour reliably informed me this morning, since 1913. That's 111 years. A side also in the relegation scrap, and of course, a certain Schumacher in the dugout. So much riding on today, as you can see, and you can follow all of the action here with us on Argyle TV. You won't want to miss it. 3 o'clock is when the game gets underway, and match passes are still available. You can buy them from the website pafc.co.uk, so do be sure to do that. Audio match passes with commentary available from just £2.50, while overseas streaming passes also available with your international subscription. What's coming up then here between now and 3 o'clock? Well, we've got a lot to cram in here on Argyle TV. We'll be hearing from Neil Dewsnip and, of course, Stephen Schumacher on their expectations for today's game. Morgan Whittaker will be talking to us as well about his memorable season for all the right reasons, and, of course, just last week picked up an individual accolade for his efforts over the course of the season. But before we get into all of that stuff, including the team news, allow me to introduce you to our pundit for today. Joining me here on Argyle TV, Brian McGlinchey. For all sorts of reasons, this one's a big one.
Yeah, it doesn't get much bigger than this one, to be fair. I think, obviously, as you said, the points are vital for Argyle, for both sides, aren't they? And it just adds that extra spice with the fact that Schumacher's playing against he's managing against his old team. You know, and obviously it'd be interesting to see what sort of reception he gets today, to be honest. But yeah, massive game, and yeah, and thank God we got the points against Leicester in our previous game, because it just shows you how challenging this division is, doesn't it? And when other sides are picking up points behind us. Yeah,
it really is the old cliche. Anyone can beat anyone on their day, can't they? We saw in that opening video just those highlights from last week. A memorable night. But, of course, you mentioned Schumacher, which has been a big talking point for the fans. What sort of expectation, what sort of reaction do you think he's going to get from those who've made the trip north?
It's very hard to tell. I think they'll have that respect at the fact that he did so well for us, to be honest. I think he's made clear decisions where, you know, for his family and different things, and there was another opportunity to further his career, and he felt it was the right decision for him. I mean, there's no one person bigger than a football club, so, you know, with more managers leave, and then Argyle just got to try and get on with it. But I think there will be that sort of disappointment that he did leave us, you know, that type of thing. That's just going to be obvious. But I think more importantly, we've got to get the fans got to get behind the players and get us through this 90 minutes, because they were unbelievable at the Leicester game. It was probably one of the best atmospheres I watched it on TV, but everyone I've spoken to said it was probably the best atmosphere they've been at Home Park for a long time.
And so how do players carry that through then today? It's going to be a cagey one, because as we've just said, this is a big game for both teams. You know, how do you expect to see it play out?
Well, I think for me, Stoke being at home, they will be on the front foot. They will try and take the game to Argyle. There'll be a fast start. And I think Argyle's job is to make sure they try and sort of calm that pressure down, try and silence the crowd, maybe get the crowd get frustrated with the Stoke sort of players. And I think if he can get through the first 25-30 minutes or so, you know, goalless, you know, I think that can then set them up, because the goal against Leicester was on the counter attack, and I think today that sort of, with Whittaker, Bundu as well, I think that's going to be important that they play and look for those sort of spaces to try and exploit them on the break.
Absolutely. You mentioned some of the players that we're hoping can perform here today. Should we take a quick look at the team news, which of course has come in the last few minutes? So of course we'll start with the Pilgrims today, and you can see our starting 11. Just the one change from last Friday's victory against Leicester City. Joe Edwards restored to the starting lineup following the injury to Mikel Miller, who is now out for the rest of the season. Michael Cooper in goal, Plegothello, Dan Scarr, Brendan Galloway at the back, with Mumba and Edwards presumably in their familiar wing-back positions. Midfield, Randall and Forshaw, and our forwards today, Morgan Whittaker, Mustafa Bundu and Ryan Hardy. So just want a couple of talking points there really from our starting lineup. One observation, and probably right to make, it's a fairly consistent lineup from the one that played against Leicester, except of course for the injury. Why do you think that is, perhaps, in terms of keeping the same lineup? Why is that so significant?
Well, I think if you've played well and you've got a result against the league, the league leaders type thing, you'd want that sort of reward for keeping your shirt type thing. I think that's a must. I think you've got to do that. Obviously, you've got to be pragmatic and play the right team that's going to suit the occasion and suit the team you're playing against. But I think it made sense to go with the same team, to be honest. Obviously, the forced change you can't sort of legislate for. But strong side, lots of experience there, lots of. You know what you're going to get there. There's lots of players there that are going to, give their all, 100%, and hopefully, they'll get through this game and get the 3 points.
Absolutely. And I just want to quickly draw attention to Dan Scarr as well, of course, at the heart of the Argyle defence. He's been formidable since he was reinstated to the starting line. I think 3 Player of the Match awards in his last 3. Just how integral is he to the way Argyle want to play and impress upon the opposition?
I think for him personally, probably being left out of the side, he's probably come in. There's a point to prove. He's probably thinking that the last manager wasn't in favour, so he wants to come in and show what he's worth. I think personally, any footballer would want to do that. I think that's his game. He wants to match up against his fellow striker and make it difficult for them. And he sort of epitomises what you want from a centre half, to be honest. And it's great to see him back. You know what you're going to get. And you're right. He's been put in 3 stellar performances since he's come back. I think the games have suited him as well. Defending a bit deeper and stuff like that against Leicester in particular. Just blood and guts type defending, really just gives everything, really. So fingers crossed he can maintain that form and see us right through to the end of the season.
Absolutely. It was a game that could well suit that particular style of play today. Let's take a quick look then at how Stoke City, the opposition today, will be lining up. As you can see there, a couple of changes, or 3 in fact, from their 1-1 draw against Sheffield Wednesday last Saturday. And to draw attention perhaps to those familiar, not just in the dugout, but as we can see there, Luke Cundle restored to the starting lineup for the Potteries today. He scored, of course, against Sheffield Wednesday. Jordan Thompson making his 150th appearance for Stoke today. And you can see on the bench, of course, another familiar name to those watching here today in the green persuasion. Niall Ennis will hopefully make an appearance there today. I say hopefully. As I said, it's not just in the dugout we've got a familiar face, but a couple out on the pitch too. What do you expect from Stoke looking at their lineup?
Yeah, well, Cundle's obviously got the reward for scoring the equaliser against Sheffield Wednesday. He scored, I think, late on in that game, and we know he's a clever player. When he was here, he was played in those half spaces, and he was able to sort of join our attacks from midfield and get the ball to Whittaker in particular when he was here. So really quality player. But the fact that we know a bit about their strengths, that's a help as well, because we'll know what their weaknesses are as well. So I'm sure Dewsnip and Nance will be thinking about how we can expose them a little bit. But their experience side, they have totally underperformed this year for their budget, for the type of players that they've got. They've had a few injuries, but every club's got injuries. Every team has to deal with that. But they've totally underperformed, and they've got lots of Premiership experience throughout the side. Like Enda Stevens in particular, Irish international. Really good play. And you mentioned Thompson, 150 appearance as well. He's an international footballer. Yeah, you're right. So they've got lots of really good players throughout their squad, but they haven't really done it this year. So for us, it's about obviously the crowd will be impatient, wanting a result today on their backs a little bit. So it's a great opportunity for Argyle to sort of make it more difficult for them, keep that clean sheet as long as possible, and see where the game takes us. But it's important we sort of that first 25 minutes we sort of, because they will try and come out all guns blazing, because if they get a win today, it sort of sets them up for safety as well, doesn't it?
It sure does. And I just want to quickly ask you about that unwanted record, if nothing else. 111 years since we last went away and beat Stoke for whatever reason. My neighbour was telling me there was a result in the 60s, apparently that was something like 9-0, which we didn't want to talk too much about. But, as a player, is that a factor when you go out on the pitch? Does that even weigh on the players at all?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. It's totally irrelevant in the sense of it's just a different set of players now playing today. And the occasion as well, because it's such an important game. Both set of players will be nervous, in the sense of they know what's at stake. So, whilst you could have some bogey grounds or some stats that that prove that maybe you're unlucky at a particular stadium, but I think you've got to forget all that, not nonsense, but forget that sort of narrative and think about more around how you can impose yourself on the game, what you could do personally, and I think the Argyle players go out and do that. There'll be a match for Stoke today.
Absolutely. Well, the build-up continues here on Argyle TV right through until 3 o'clock this afternoon, where we'll get underway at the Bet365. And, of course, Argyle will be feeling a little bit happier than perhaps they were a couple of weeks ago. This time last week, Friday night, the Green Army were watching other results come in after having just beaten the league leaders, Leicester City. One of the best results of the season so far, I think it's fair to say. Let's take a look at some of those highlights.
Indeed, he was one of those players that started the game. That was under Metropolitano 7 years ago. Jamie Vardy was another. He's on the bench today. Here's Dewsbury Hall into Ndidi. Lots of space for Fatawu on the right. Low cross into the middle. Punched clear by Cooper. It's now back with Dewsbury Hall out on the left-hand side. Pereira. He thinks about lining up a shot, gets it back from Ndidi. Pereira inside the box. Cooper gets down quickly, makes the save. Here's Dewsbury Hall, picking up those pockets at will. Mavididi down the left-hand side. Mumba trying to get back to help out Pagafuelo. Here is Dewsbury Hall, back to Mavididi from range. Curls it! Oh, that's just wide. Whittaker stabs it through to Forshaw. There's a lot of space for Bundu on the left if the pass is good. It's forced him a little bit wide, but Leicester are stretched. Bundu into the area. Can he get a shot away?
Oh, what a goal! What a goal!
Mustafa Bundu gives Argyle the lead! Mumba trying to get close to him. Fast though, into Pereira. Pratt picks it up. Bright pink boots. So Tawu makes a run of the ball and he's been found. Low ball into the middle is just put wide by Daka. Has to continue though, deep in Argyle territory. Here's James Justin, 35 yards out, dinks the ball in towards Pratt. That's a lovely layoff. Daka with the strike, which he's got all wrong. And Ben Waine is going to chase after a ball and keep it in play. Gets to it before Vestergaard. Whittaker, can he get into a shooting position? Not quite. Argyle, one to the good. Desperate to get a 3 points, which will take them clear of the drop zone. But Leicester, hungry themselves to get back and clear at the top of the table. And Vardy, is he in here? Cooper out. Cooper wins it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Cooper, sharp and alert this stage of the game as well.
Yeah, what a night it was last Friday here at Home Park under the lights. Where better to be? I mean, Brian, is that the performance and the result of the season for you so far?
I would guess probably because of the timing of the game and up against the sort of the league leaders. Yeah, it was an impressive result, to be honest. First 15-20 minutes I thought, oh my God, this is going to be a real difficult night for us. Leicester started the game really well, didn't they? And then we scored a fantastic goal, real incisive sort of play, and what a finish by Bundu. Really, we just passed and coaxed into that bottom corner. Really sort of clever finish, really. And then it was all about, there was a little bit of fortune. Sometimes they missed a couple of really good chances, didn't they? But you've got to get that bit of luck sometimes. But we defended brilliantly. I thought, man for man, I think we put a massive shift in and we got through that and got the 3 points. And also, I want to say the crowd play a big part in that performance, because I think you could hear from, I was watching on TV, you could hear from even the commentators, were talking about how great the atmosphere was, and then talking to people after the game, they were saying that they just what an atmosphere at home park it was on a Friday night. So yeah, it's a brilliant sort of, and we need the crowd today. The 2.5 or whatever is going up there to Stoke today to give us that lift as well.
Yeah, about 2,600 I think it is that we've managed to sell out our allocation.
Yeah.
So they'll be huge, of course, the Green Army today in terms of getting that result. And it did wonders for the points tally. I mean, I think most fans will agree we probably weren't expecting 3 points out of that, but it did a great job for us in terms of where we now sit in the table.
Yeah, it just shows you, doesn't it? Football, you no God-given right to win a football match, no matter who you are, really. Yeah. And you expect, obviously, the point against QPR was a big point late on, and then the win rather than before that. It just was a really great week for us, wasn't it? And so yeah, it just shows you that with a bit of effort, organisation, that belief that you can go and get something, because. We could have easily have gone under there, and it would have been a real difficult game today. But at least we're going here with those 3 points behind us, and a bit of renewed confidence with sort of 7 points in 3 games. So it's good form to be going into the Stoke game.
Yeah, and it must have huge things for the morale in the dressing room, like you say, to go out there and get that win when perhaps most pundits, fans may have written our chances off against a team like Leicester. How do they carry that through into a game like today? 8 days have gone by. Feels like an age since that last Friday night.
Well, I think I think Nance and Dewsnip will be too experienced to let that go to their head. In the sense they'll know they have to be balanced. Sure. In the sense of it's great that we've got those points, but it's important you don't get carried away. This is a new game. This is a new a new approach they've got to take. They've got to make sure that they're on it and set up right for this game. But really interested to see how the game sort of transpires, to be honest, because I don't think Stoke have done great in recent weeks, to be honest. So. Be interested to see how this game sort of works out in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they showed, of course, real character to get that result last Friday. As you can see, the togetherness in the team, what it meant to the players and, of course, the fans. Lots to like and enjoy, but, of course, plenty of work still to do. A point, in fact, that our caretaker boss and director of football, Neil Dewsnip, was keen to make when he sat down and spoke to Argyle TV earlier this week.
The group are incredibly motivated, so I think it's increased the motivation, it's increased the belief, it's made an already really good environment even better, so it's helped us no end really. But if we can beat Leicester, I guess logically you think, okay, we got a chance of doing well in our last 3 games.
Not that it, was ever questioned within the walls of Plymouth Argyle, but the kind of way in which that win was achieved and the scenes afterwards and the huddle on the pitch, the kind of togetherness was clear to see. And, how vital has that been, do you think, over the last few months when it has been tricky?
The phrase "one Argyle," I've seen that since the minute kind of I landed here, and I think if Ryan Lowe and Stephen Schumacher were in this conversation, Annie and Foster, they would all say the same. That's very, very a strong part of the club's DNA. I think nights like Leicester make it even stronger, make it grow, it becomes more powerful. And we want to tap into that energy source and use it on the pitch in the last 3 games.
Obviously, Stephen Schumacher in the opposite dugout for you, but also for the club, because he's been such a huge part over the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, on a club level, first of all, I would hope the supporters would recognise that Stephen was hugely successful as the manager of Plymouth Argyle, got us promoted in 2 promotions really, one as coach and one as manager. He's played his part and that part's now over, he's left. We're grateful for what he did for the club, but he now represents another football club. On a personal level, it makes me feel very proud but also very old, the fact that we're going to be coaching against one another on Saturday. His focus will be his team, my focus will be my team. I'm sure we'll have a little glance at one another from time to time. But this is not about Neil Dewsnip and Stephen Schumacher. As far as I'm concerned, it's about Plymouth Argyle and getting 3 points if we can, 1 point if we can't, in the pursuit of safety.
just over 2,500 Argyle supporters making their way up there. They'll have fond memories, of course, of that area, Stoke-on-Trent, from last season. We'll be hoping they can come back down to Devon with a similar sort of joy, I imagine.
Yeah, that would be lovely, hey. Yeah, I'm not surprised that we've sold our tickets. Once again, the Green Army supports the team in its numbers. We're really lucky, we're very grateful, and we'll be doing our best for them.
Caretaker boss and director of football Neil Dewsnip speaking to us a little bit earlier this week in the build-up to the game today, and he was talking there about the importance of the Green Army, the difference they do make to the players, and as we said, 2,600 making that trip north today. Just how vital are they going to be to whatever we can get out of this game against Stoke?
Well, you know, you could say that about any club. All the fans are really, really important, but in particular, the Argyle fans, the distances they have to travel, like today, all throughout the season, to take that amount of fans is just spectacular, to be honest. And yeah, they're unbelievable to play in front of, to be honest. And yeah, they really get you through difficult moments, and you need your fans when you're going through difficult spells in the game. And they've been brilliant this year. You know, obviously, it's not nice to see a manager lose his job, but it's obviously was the right decision because results have picked up since his departure. The crowd have really got behind the players in the last sort of couple of weeks since that's happened. And yeah, it makes a massive difference. It's, a bit of a cliche, the 12th man, but it really does make a difference.
Absolutely, and it's not just Argyle and Stoke, of course, fighting for survival. We've approached that point of the season, the business end of the season, they call it. Many permutations to today, with everyone clearly fighting for survival. 4 points clear, which means from our relegation place at the moment, you can see here just how tight it is at the moment for Argyle and other teams. Currently, us in 16th on 48, but look, you can just see there the relegation places and the gap at the moment with Sheffield Wednesday and Birmingham currently vying in 22nd and 23rd. And just to sort of brief you, Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield need 5 points from 3 games to get above Argyle. Average points for safety the past 10 years is 43.7. So if Argyle win and Wednesday and Huddersfield fail to do so, then in theory, and I say in theory, it is done this weekend. Look, as a former player, how much attention do you really pay the rest of the table when it gets to this? I mean, surely it's a case of you've just got to win your games, right?
Yeah, I think initially Argyle would just be going out 3 o'clock thinking solely about their performance, what they can do. But look, once you come in the changing room and you've got that result and you see the table's going your way or results have gone your way, then it's a big lift. It will, especially at the business end of the season. You're probably not looking at results earlier on the season, but when you're sort of fighting for something, or when you're maybe fighting against relegation, you're going to be mindful of the table. It'd be naive to think you wouldn't be. But yeah, as you say, you cannot rely on other teams to do you favours. And this table this championship is just relentless. Yeah. And it could be one of those years where you need a really high points tally to stay up, because every week I thought after the Leicester game, that's us now, but then results on the Saturday didn't go away in a way. So yeah, really, really difficult one to call, but yeah, we know it's in Argyle's hands. And that's a good position to be in. Absolutely.
Well, perhaps, maybe today, Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield, maybe one of them can do us a favour and help us out a little bit if we can get a point or even 3 at the Bet365. You can see the players there warming up in the warm sunshine in Stoke. And, of course, the countdown to kick-off just over 30 minutes. You are watching Argyle TV here from Home Park Live, building up to yet another huge game in the Sky Bet Championship. All of the details on how you can get your pass, head on over to pafc.co.uk online right now. Well, one player, of course, who could make all of the difference away at Stoke today is Morgan Whittaker. He has had, quite frankly, an incredible season in an Argyle shirt after being signed, of course, by Stephen Schumacher last summer for a £1 million fee plus add-ons. His 19 league goals and 8 assists have not gone unnoticed across the rest of the country. He was named last week in the Sky Bet Championship Team of the Season. He sat down earlier week with our very own Charlie Price to reflect on his season so far.
Morgan Whittaker of Plymouth Argyle has been a star in a team that is fighting off relegation trouble. Lazio came calling in January, but he chose the Barbican over the Coliseum. As a child, he used to pretend to be Neymar. Now children in Plymouth pretend to be him.
Whittaker, he scored! What a hit from Whittaker! Morgan, first of all, congratulations are in order. A team of the season for Sky Bet Championship. That must be up there in terms of accolades for you.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't think it's settled in really because I didn't feel how I felt until I actually got it in my hand and after being on the stage, and I just sort of sat back and thought, like, the season I've had, I think the last few games I've still been stressing myself out about not scoring and not performing how I want to be, but I think all in all I need to just take a step back and realise the achievement I've done by getting that award and the goals I've scored and that, so I just need to take a minute and just be proud of myself.
Yeah, absolutely you do. And if we are to kind of reflect on the season, and I know it's not finished yet, there's still 3 games to go, how would you assess it? How have you found it?
I think if someone had said this at the start of the season, I would have bit the hand off, so I've just got to, like I said, keep being proud of myself and just carry on, but I think my partner knows it's like I'm still stressing myself out to get to 20 league goals, so the way I am, I'm never going to stop wanting to do more, so it's just how I am, but then at the same time I need to sit back and think I've had a really good season and just it's been more than I thought. Yeah,
you're 1 goal away from 20 in the league. Was that a target for you at the start of the year, or have you had to sort of amend it as you've gone through?
Well, that's sort of funny. I think my target was just double figures, and I'm still putting that pressure on myself of trying to score more than that. So I think, yeah, it was double figures, but I think now I'm so close to 20. I think 20 league goals, I'll be happy with myself. Yeah. I think.
Well, it doesn't happen for Argyle very often. You probably don't know this, but the last time that a player got 20 league goals in a season was 1994.
Yeah, so a bit more pressure on myself now.
Sorry, Morgan. But it doesn't happen often, which kind of proves just how good your season's been.
Yeah, I think just being 19, I think if you get 20, it doesn't seem better, but in my head it does seem better. So I think just one, but I think the main focus is getting the wins, and that's what we have been doing recently. So that's more of a personal goal for me, but the team's been doing really well, which is the main thing.
I just want one more personal question on you, and it's to kind of ask you about any particular matches that stick out in your mind as the best.
I think Rotherham's got to be up there. I just think the way we conceded when they had 10 men, and I think it was a bit of like a must-win, not a must-win game, but we thought we could win it, and then to score a last-minute goal after we've been conceding a few last-minute goals, and just the atmosphere. And I think as well recently the Leicester game, I think seeing the crowd like that again after the hard few months has been really, really good.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I haven't seen home park like that for quite a long time, and I've been coming a lot, years and years. Just how important was it to show everybody and put in a performance like that and get over the line and beat the league leaders?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think before the game we saw Millwall beat them and teams have beaten them before, so the message was that we just have to believe that we can beat them. And to actually do it is another thing with the quality they've got. But it just shows the Championship's crazy. I think we beat Leicester and then all the other teams, like you see the next day, Blackburn beat Leeds. So it's just one of them. But I think to see home pot like that again, after, like I said, how tough it's been for the fans, it's been amazing. If you believe that you can beat the top teams, then it's shown from teams that can do that. I think the message after was enjoy it, but the Championship's like the next day, the other teams can go and get results. So just enjoy it while we've won in that, and then the focus on the next game.
Well, that was Morgan Whittaker talking to our very own Charlie Price here for Argyle TV earlier in the week. And, look, in a word, he's been brilliant this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's been a real star performer for us. He's got some real crucial goals for us, some spectacular goals as well, isn't he? Yeah, he's a brilliant striker of the ball from long distance. He's been a real sort of played a big part in our season. But also as well, I think Argyle have given him a really great environment to come and play. I think, at Swansea he was probably lost a little bit. He wasn't maybe fancied in that setup, and he's come here, and the manager Schumacher, and then obviously coming in now, obviously Dewsnip and Nanto really make him feel like he's a star man. And I think when you have that confidence behind you, you can really let your confidence just flourish, and you can go to the next level, But so I think it's both both things have played a part in his success, the environment and also the fact that he's a quality player as well, and he's come to his full potential.
Yeah, he's just capable of those moments, isn't he? He's a player that gets you really on the edge of your seat when you're watching him play. You don't know quite what might happen when he gets a strike on goal, but often or not, it ends up in the back of the net.
Yeah, but he shoots on sight, doesn't he? He shoots from sometimes ridiculous distances. But yeah, fair play to him. He's a quality player, and for his accolade to get into the team of the year is another great achievement for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. He should be very proud of what he's done there to get into that team. And you say some of the goals he scored this season have been incredible. In fact, stats here, he is the first Argyle player since Ruben Reid back in 2015 to score 20 goals across the league, across the season, I should say, because today he's in fact one away from 20 in the league, which is just fantastic. And it's his movement as well, as we can see in some of these clips here, making that 1 million fee look a bit like a bargain in many ways. Would you agree?
Well, when you look at some of the transfer fees going around, yeah, for to sort of score that amount of goals and the quality of the goals, and you can understand that the teams have been interested in him, and there's a lot of sort of speculation that he could have went on the Christmas window. But yeah, quality player, and it's going to take a big price tag to lure him away from this club's perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And wouldn't it be fantastic if, of course, Whittaker was able to notch that 20th league goal away at Stoke today? It would be fantastic. Almost written in the stars if he could. Yeah. Still plenty more to come here on Argyle TV as part of the pre-match show until 3 o'clock. A reminder, UK-based fans can still get an audio match pass for today's game. You will not want to miss it from just £2.50. How do you do that? You can do that online. Just head to pafc.co.uk and click on the Argyle TV tab at the top.
'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling, and every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can't you feel my heart beat fast? I want this to last. Need you by my side. 'Cause every time we touch, I feel the static, and every time we kiss, I reach for the sky. Can't you hear my heart beat so? I can't let you go. Want you in my life.
Well, Argyle, of course, are visiting Stoke City. First time today, in fact, in 17 years. Traditionally, not been much of a happy hunting ground for the Pilgrims. Just one win in 22 matches played in the Potteries. However, when the two teams met earlier this season here at Home Park, it was another memorable night, in fact, as the dusk set and the lights came on. A certain Adam Randall popped up with one of those moments in a dramatic game here at Home Park. Take a look.
Through the first half, and Ryan Myers got in behind the Argyle defence and scores a huge switch off at the back. Hayden looks up, delivers low. Bundu is there! Oh, he's equalised! It's a beautiful finish from Mustafa Bundu. It's his last chance saloon here at Home Park. Callum Wright jinks inside, plays it in. Chance for Kendall off the line. Randall is in! Yes! Adam Randall! Yes! 100th appearance for Argyle at the Devonport end.
tell you what, just looking back, some of those clips there, regardless of how this season pans out, and of course we hope we survive, but we've had some real highs, haven't we, here, particularly at Home Park?
Yeah, that was a special moment for Randall there, scoring in his first goal, 100th at Home Park, I should say. Yeah, great sort of evening. I remember that game. And Bundu scored as well, so Bundu starting again today, so hopefully that'll be good little omens for us this afternoon.
Exactly. We'll take it in any way, shape or form we can. And he got his goal in the last game against Leicester, didn't he? So look, hopefully he can build on that. But Stoke, we're going to spend a moment just to chat about them. They are a tricky proposition in many ways. We talked about their own expectations. They certainly wouldn't have expected to be where they are at this point in the season. 1 win in 5, I believe, in the league for them in their last 5 games. But they have shown an interesting, or certainly an ability, I should say, to come back in recent games. They've shown that. Haven't kept a clean sheet, as I say, in 5 games. And Stephen Schumacher, who joined them, as we've discussed, in December, 22 games at the helm at Stoke, 6 wins, 6 draws, 10 defeats. We can see some of their highlights, I suppose, in recent fixtures. What have you made? How much football you've seen of Stoke, at least? What have you made of his tenure?
I watched this particular game, the one they played Swansea recently, away from home, and they weren't particularly impressive that night. But as I said earlier in the programme, they've sort of underperformed this year. Their wage bill, in comparative to Argyle's wage bill, they would have definitely thoughts of maybe they could do something in this division this year. They've got aspirations to get to Premier League. So I hear that's what Schumacher's goal is. That's what he wants. I hear him talking about that earlier in the week himself. So yeah, they've sort of flattered this year, and deceived, sorry, I should say. And it's going to be an interesting game in the sense of going there. It's a difficult place to play. It's quite windy as well. So it'll be interesting to see what the weather is like up there. But it's a good pitch to play on, and for me, it's all about Argyle maybe just keeping the crowd quiet, as I said, and making it difficult for them, and getting the crowd against them a little bit, getting frustrated, and then they'll maybe panic a little bit, and then we can just sort of grow in confidence and maybe try and hit them some sort of break and transitions, and like we've done against Leicester, typical type of performance again today would go a long way, I think.
Absolutely. Well, we saw just their recent form in some of their fixtures. As I say, 6 wins, 6 draws, 10 defeats for Schumacher since he joined Stoke in December. Let's hear from him now, shall we? This is Stephen Schumacher talking to the press in the build-up to the game today.
It's not about me. It's about Stoke trying to get points on the board, and as I say, everybody understands how crucial and how vital the game is, but yeah, there will be a lot of noise around it. Going up against a club that obviously I've been at for a long time and had some good times there. So, as I say, yeah, the side story of me being Argyle's ex-manager is probably not that important. The point to what's at stake is what everyone's trying to fight for.
And I'm sure you saw Plymouth play against Leicester last Friday and perform really well. I mean, the results that went along last weekend mean neither of you safe, so it's set up for a really important game. Yeah,
it is, yeah, and all of the games at this stage of the season are important, but yeah, we'll watch them on Friday night at the hotel in Sheffield, and yet they done brilliantly to beat Leicester. They played really well, showed what they're good at. They showed that they're really good on the counter-attack, which is where their goal come from. They defended brilliantly as a team, showed real good energy and enthusiasm to fight for them 3 points, and as you say, it was a vital 3 points for them, and fair play to them beating the league leaders the way they did. But as I say, it's Saturday's a new day, it's a different game, and we have to make sure that we come out on top of it.
Just as we took around 4,000 fans to Sheffield, they'll have a great following, won't they? And that will make the atmosphere even better.
It will, yeah, and I said it when I was there, Argyle fans are right up there with the best fans in the country. The distances that they have to travel is second to none because of where they're located, and they always travel in the numbers, and it's colourful, and they back their team everywhere. So it'll be no different on Saturday. It'll be a bit more spice because they'll be having a go at me, I'm sure, some of them. But I say that's to be expected, and we ask our fans to match it and be louder than the Argyle fans, which I'm sure they will be, because if we can get our performance right and get the atmosphere going at the Bet365, then there isn't many better places than that stadium as well.
last week, they came out of the blocks very, very quickly, and the players did really well to weather that initial onslaught. How important is it for you to come out of the blocks really well at the weekend, if nothing else than to settle my nerves?
Any game's important that you start well in it. Obviously, you've always got that idea. Every team wants to go out there and get on the front foot and take the game to the opposition, but sometimes it goes against you. But either way, you've got to stay calm in the situations. If you do get a good start, then try and make the most of it, get yourself in front. But if you don't, then you've got to try and find a way out to weather the storm, which is what we did at the weekend. So yeah, that'll be the same message on Saturday. Let's get ourselves, let's get going right from the start. And say set the tempo. It's on us to get that energy in the stadium and take it to Argyle where we can.
Well, a man perhaps that doesn't need any introduction, but Stoke City boss there, Stephen Schumacher, speaking to the press ahead of today's game. Now, look, we've talked about it from an Argyle perspective and also for Stoke as a team, but he'll know as well there's actually a lot of pressure on him to start picking up some results.
Yeah, massive pressure on him. I think he's gone there to try and sort of stabilise the team and try and get them up to at least mid-table and then build for next year, and that hasn't transpired for them there. They've probably, you sort of mentioned the stats there, they've lost quite a lot of games, this year, and since he's gone in there, and yeah, he's found it difficult to get his sort of blueprint across these players. He's talked. I've sort of read some of his sort of comments around. He wants everyone pulling in one direction. It seems like maybe there's a bit of maybe fracas in the camp and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see how that transpires. But he talked about having a fast start, and then if it doesn't happen, it doesn't go their way, then maybe they keep calm. I think for me as a manager, I've talked about it, is if I was at Argyle today, I'd be really thinking, right, how do I make this more difficult for them, keeping it really tight, giving them not a sniff of an opportunity early on, and then making it really difficult for them, and then as the time goes on, the frustration will kick in.
Yeah, of course.
So that's how I see it. That's how I'd hope that the game would go for us.
Oh, fingers crossed. Well, look, the build-up continues here on Argyle TV. Not long now until kick-off. Our final bit of build-up coming up next. Well, let's just remind ourselves, shall we, of the teams and how they line up today for Stoke City versus Plymouth Argyle at the Bet365. We'll start with Argyle and share with you here. This is how they line up. So one change for the Pilgrims from last Friday night's victory over Leicester City. Mikel Miller misses out through injury. Joe Edwards comes back in and captains the side. And a couple of talking points just quickly. Mustafa Bundu, as we can see there, starting for the second game in a row. He scored against Leicester. He was the difference there. Can he be the difference today?
Well, I hope so. I thought when he came on against QPR, he obviously played a big part in that equaliser. He did well, and I thought then, I said in the commentary, he probably deserves a start against Leicester, and he got that, and fantastic strike. And I think he's gone with a real sort of solid side. And as I said earlier in the programme, you'd think with that result, the players who played in that game sort of deserved the reward of getting the shirt again. But you'll need your bench again today. 100%. You can't rely just on the 11. So you'll need those players to come in and affect the game. That's really important, that your subs can affect the game as well. So, yeah, big game for Argyle today.
Absolutely. And let's just show you then the Stoke City starting 11. today, as we can see here. A couple of familiar names we mentioned earlier on. Luke Cundall restored to the starting lineup. He was the difference for Stoke in their previous league fixture against Sheffield Wednesday, scoring the equaliser. And of course, a familiar name on the bench as well in Niall Ennis. But you can see there a team of pedigree and threat across the starting 11 there. Just a quick comment on perhaps who you likely expect to make the difference for them today on the threats.
Well, he's gone with Campbell. I watched Campbell when he came down here in the reverse fixture at Home Park. They played a lot of direct balls out to the right to him. He's a bit of a handful. They've got plenty of pedigree and experience throughout the side, to be honest. But you said their form's not been great. You know what I mean? And their home form's not great either. So it's literally about just making it difficult for them. But you see, like any footballer, if they're playing with confidence, they'll do well in a game. So we've just got to make sure that they make it really difficult for them to get any rhythm, any flow to the game. And Argyle are good at that. They can just sort of keep it tight initially, sort of thwart the crowd a little bit, and then really have a go on the break. There's plenty of attacking prowess with Hardy on the break and Hardy running in behind, and Whittaker getting in the half spaces. And then so yeah, lots to think about and lots of positive for Argyle to sort of think about how they can really hurt Stoke today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned all of the permutations, of course. It's not just significant for us today, but other results could well influence where we finish the day at 5 o'clock today. Speaking of which, perhaps let's just share with you some of the fixtures today across the division. Well, as you can see in the early kickoff, Leicester City back to winning ways. 2-1 win for them, or is that a latest score? It may well be against West Bromwich Albion. Elsewhere, though, of course, you can see Cardiff City in action against Southampton. Huddersfield Town host Swansea City. Norwich at home to Bristol City. Rotherham, of course, already relegated. Will be interesting, of course, they're facing Birmingham City, who are down there with us. Stoke, as we know, we are against them today at the Bet365. And elsewhere, we have Millwall facing a long trip north up to Sunderland. Watford at home to Hull City. And in the late kick-off later tonight, QPR at home to Preston North End. So there we go, as we mentioned the permutations, but maybe just a final comment or two from you before we do prepare to hand over to our commentary team today, Charlie Price and Ryan Brunt, who are waiting in the wings at the Bet365. Both teams today are going to be desperate not to lose the game. With that in mind, is this actually going to be one of those particularly cagey, it's going to be tight, it's going to be tense, isn't it?
Inevitably, I think it will be. I think there's too much on stake for it to be a free-flowing game of football. Well, obviously, we hope it is a good game to enjoy it, but I think there's a lot of stake here, isn't there? There's, you've got to make sure you don't make mistakes. You've got to keep it really tight. So inevitably, it's going to maybe go like that. It'll be a bit of a difficult game for both players. But look, I think the only advice the players will probably get is just play your normal game, do the right things. If you have to play percentages, then you have to do that. Sometimes it's not about playing nice football at this sort of stage of the season. It's getting results, and I'm sure with the 7 points they've got in the last 3 games, they can go with a bit of confidence, knowing that they can get a result at Stoke.
Yeah, absolutely, and we can feel almost the anticipation building, seeing some of the shots of the players out warming up earlier on. It looks like a great day and a great occasion ahead here on Argyle TV. Of course, passes still available. Can I push you maybe for a sort of prediction today, if I can do that?
It's really difficult to call. I think it's going to be a draw today. I think it's going to be 1 each. I think we'll see how I don't think that'll be a bad point for Argyle today, if I'm honest. Obviously, it depends how the other results go, but obviously hoping for an Argyle victory. But that's my heart telling me that, but I think my head's telling me it could be a draw today.
But a point, nonetheless, probably serves us better than it does
Stoke.
Well,
100%. Yeah, it gives us. It's just another game chalked off the list, and Stoke haven't sort of gained any ground on us, because they're behind us at the moment. But again, it's all about Argyle doing what they can do. They know they can stay up if they get enough points. It's within our hands. So, and what would be great if we're not getting into the last game of the season needing something, because Hull are precariously just outside the playoff positions, and I think they've got a game in hand on Norwich. So we don't want to be going into that last game needing a point or anything. We want to get wrapped up between this game and the Millwall game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a point as well, because of course we've got 3 games left in the league, this one today included. We've got a trip to Millwall to contend with, and Hull at home in the final game of the season. Likewise, Stoke have got Southampton still to play. So it's not just the results, but it's also the fixtures that you're starting to consider and look at.
Yeah. But look, as we saw, you can't say you're playing a big team it's going to be difficult to get points, because we got 3 points against Leicester. So it's literally playing the game that's in front of you, playing that particular game, not thinking too far ahead. And you see the pictures here, the fans,
you can see the allocation, can't you? That's certainly, there's our 2,600 filling out their area. Can't see any red seats in that end of the stand, which is going to make potentially all the difference for us today.
It does. It's sort of surprised not to see the Stoke ends all full, but maybe it's a few bit more minutes to kick off. So yeah, big game. The players will be nervous. That's a given. But it's I'm sure Nance and Dewsnip will sort of try and relax them as much as possible and get them to play their normal game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've talked it through. I think we've looked at the team news. We've, I think, discussed all the possible angles for today's game. But we have just over 5 minutes until kickoff, and we'll be handing over very shortly for our commentary team today. A final reminder from us, really, if you've not yet managed to get your pass for today, there is still time to do so. Head on over to pafc.co.uk now. For those of you based in the UK, audio match pass is available from just £2.50, and you're not going to want to miss any of the action away at the Bet365 today, where of course our commentary team are waiting in the wings. Charlie Price and Ryan Brunt are standing by for us. Argyle against Stoke City is up next.